All right, welcome back to the WB Wake Up Belize Morning Vibes. Monday, 12th May 2025. Telephone number 280-5848. Mose Hyde hosting this morning, and it's good to be back and good energy from the people where they call in. Rate that. That's how this works. Um, there's a matter that I feel has not been dealt with, but let me just take this call. Krim, good morning.
Morning, Mose. Yeah, calling back. There's a conversation that we need to have as a community that if we did have it, I'm here. In principle, I agree with the NTU. Them do our best for them teachers. I've had this conversation more than once. As parents, adults, guardians, we have failed our students and failed them for a period of time. And so has the teachers. The majority of our children, they get passed from class to class and they're not literate. We had a whole conversation that literacy are more than reading and writing. Now, we've been saying this publicly, but because I've worked with the school out of state Hyde, and this is just one small example. As far as I know, we no longer have a literacy unit in the Ministry of Education. So the Ministry of Education, the management of schools, BNTU, principals, adults, and guardians of Belizean children have blamed emailing. So from that small sample that the St. Bite Primary School, and remember we only test one total of 143 students from standard 2 to standard 6. 63 other students that are 4 and 5-year-old level. 31 students at 6 and 7-year-old level. 22 students are able to read. 13 students to read at 7 and 8-year-old level. 13 students at 5 and 6-year-old level. And I checked there at that time for, I think, for fluency and 2 other things. My point is this, more. We have been failing our students, Lord, and there's no oversight. I've been intentional to talk to teachers. Things have changed in the Ministry of Education. There's no more literacy units. Because they don't have standardized tests, at least it's a legal safe. When they have the standardized tests and they want it to get good grades, the teachers don't have extra class. No, there's no requirement to standardize tests, so there's no extra class. There's no oversight. So my thing is, we the Belizean people, first off, we the parents, adults, we responsible for our children. They're not active parent-teachers association. They're dead on arrival in a government-aided school. So we can't say parents support teachers because we don't know. We don't organize to find out from them what they're in position. So the teachers then just have free reign, and most of them more than most teachers. The students they got colonial papers, but they never trained in a pedagogy in how to teach and then evaluated if they're effective. So most religious teachers, most of them, are not adequately doing what teachers do and are just the truth more. So we're not to get value for money as it relates to the taxpaying money, but teachers they get paid for. We're not. And we need to be honest and have this hard conversation. I said to the Belize National Teachers Union, if we don't want the Belizean people feel, no, I don't got blame. So we to get value for money, show a part in each club now, they have one thing called Literacy Alive within the test standard 2 and standard 3 students. And that isn't as comprehensive as the other measuring tool what we use. And I think even right now, I don't actively work with the community group anymore, even though I organize it. What, for literacy, so then the state, the test standard 2 and 3, so what happened to kindergarten, infant 1, infant 2, standard 1, standard 4, standard 5, standard, nobody the test them for literacy. And when you go in and you check, there's limitation to literacy alive. But there's nobody having the conversation. You call Ministry of Education, you send them just no response. That's the culture of this administration. They don't see no reason to come to we and have respectful conversation. And I never agree with the ministry when they said that the tone of BNCU letter was disrespectful. No, we're not used to nobody to put in our eye and telling them as adults, this is the way we accept, this is the way we don't accept, the one weaponize the wording and say the tone never disrespectful. People we as adults hold other adults accountable, then we have to make sure that we do what we do. All right, that's what I got to say. Look at what I got to say.
Yeah, so it's a huge problem, and a part of my concern is if I hire somebody to clean my house, for example, but I don't give them, or in this case, it's separate. If I am tasked with, somebody says, I need you to manage my house and estate while I'm away, and you become like the administrator of somebody's property, because that's what our government is. They are doing our work on our behalf. We pay in the money, and they are to spend the money in a way to get the maximum results. But the manager of the estate hires somebody to go and take care, clean the house, deal with the yard and whatnot. But the manager does not provide the required cleaning agents and tools to do that, and does not, as you have pointed out, does not go and oversee the work that is being done. I feel that the place where the owner of the residence or property begins, and where is to say, listen, you have not managed my resources. I cannot come to the person who has been hired if that person has not been properly equipped and has not been placed with with the instructions as to, well, what is the highest priority and what we are going to do. It's really an administrative management issue, in my view, because you are not able, you don't have the authority to hold accountable someone that you are not equipping to do the work you've assigned them, and the assignment that you have given has not been structured in a way that represents the interests of the people on whose behalf you're working for. So if that person, as we've known, and it's nobody can dispute it, that the classrooms, just the outfitting of the classroom has become the responsibility of the teachers. Because they are subsidizing. That's what they're doing. As the people who have been hired, they are subsidizing. And so you are looking at a situation where before you can start to assess and hold accountable performance, we have to make sure that all things are right with what you're being provided, and absolutely a part of that has to be that we are compensating you fairly. Because when you're dealing with a private school, that is the way it is structured. Because in a private school, the burden of providing the physical parts of one is not on the teacher. The teacher is being held responsible for what is the performance, what is the end product, are the children learning and are becoming literate. So the scenario where you have here, yes, it's a huge problem, and in my view, it is a problem that requires Because what you experience in that particular village, I will tell you that one of the problems is that there is a significant disparity and a drop off from urban to rural space. Children in rural spaces you will find that's an important data to try to track, because you will find a disparity there. Now, the concern I have with having this conversation right now is that, is it the time to have it? Because you could say, well, yeah, because now we are looking at what is fair compensation and what our expectations, and if you're looking at that, then this is the time to do it. The problem with that is that you're holding somebody accountable at a moment when they're in a huge fight. Whenever a union takes on a fight, and in this case, this union is now fighting its employer, it's fighting the government, which is its employer, and that's a challenging time. That's a heavy lifting time to deal now with the issue of, am I being properly, fairly compensated, and how do I get there? So I feel that if you start to make the conversation about, okay, but we have some problems here. Okay, those are conversations we have to have. We have to have it with the BNQ. We have to have it with, again, the administrative problem does not only exist with the government. A part of the administrative problem, because we have a church-state system, a part of the administrative responsibility that with the respective school managements, and the extent to which, what is the highest priority of these managements? Is it to create potential people for the congregation, or is it to maximize the child's capacity and to enable the highest level of literacy for them to be able to function to have proper functioning, critical thinking, and to be extremely productive and engaged? What is the priority, and how is that reflected in your interventions to make the performance be up to par? You have turned a blind eye. You can't tell me that at the level of the respective managements that they are not cognizant of the performance deficiencies that exist within their schools. They are very aware of it. And so indeed, I would agree with you that this is a challenge for all of us to engage and for all of us to pursue the proper interventions and solutions, so that we do not essentially, what we're doing is we are putting a bag of stones on children, and we are limiting them because we are essentially just passing them off, knowing well that we have not done the foundation, we have not laid the foundation, and that is a huge problem. But again, I feel, sister, that what's going on now, when you have a situation where a labor force which has been managing very difficult economic times, making sacrifices and subsidizing the work period have been messaged by their employer that we are about self and that's it. And their response is a natural one to say, well, what happened to us? That's my view of that, no? I don't know if any of that makes sense to you, sister, but that's just, I completely accept that this is a very huge problem.
I value having a meeting with you more than having it publicly, and I think that it ties up with everything we had said earlier, right? The teacher has been at what, 7,000 out of 150,000. That tax, the Belizean people that got you hard time right now when it comes to the cost of living, while they wanted to get themselves as of the 13th of March extra money, CEO and the cabinet secretary. So I just say, yes, that's my voice here, but I'm confident that I didn't have a lot of Belizeans we're unemployed, underemployed. We are the majority. You're not here, we're not we're not organized, but we are the majority. So I just say, this is the perfect, because everybody look out for the interest right now, the CEO, CapSec, teachers, well, okay, we won't even look out for each other, so it's at the perfect timing for we look out for each other, because we not organized, so we just set up for we taxpayers' money, the PR of everybody else, so we money to pay on. So we just say, we not to get value for our money within the state, but that is just try to say, okay, with the cost that, I don't know, for no other time than right now, let the Valley House bucked up, because the whole education system was not designed to work for us, and it's not been working for us. For the teachers that they come back over and over again, the majority of our children not do well in school, because the system never designed. This is the time we say, okay, and remember the education budget might be the largest part of the national budget. We not get value for our money. So make the whole thing work done right now then. Make everybody work for, make all of us come to the table and say what's best for everybody. Not just best for the teachers and the CapSec and the CEOs. What's best for all the leaders. It's not no when, it's not we who.
Yeah, so I hear that and respect to that. But once it is we enter that, we understand that we all have to look at self too, right? And as much as we have a failure of the management and administration, and we have issues with the labor force and its performance. We also have to look at the fact that parents have failed children. And again, I feel this is where the state has really failed, in that when we say, well, parents have failed, have we done any type of work to give guidance to parents as to what the expectations are and what their responsibilities are even before that child ever walks into a classroom? Because to a great extent, so much happens before a child is 3. As it relates to literacy, that is known, that your literacy literally begins in the womb. But now, what guidance has been given? Where has there been any visible intervention to say, what are you expecting of a parent in that time? What guidance? So we want them to be good at this. We want them to lay the first layer that's required, and then we have the performance of the teachers that will then build on that. Without that first layer, the work of the teachers becomes far more challenging, and they don't have, you put them along with 40 to 50 students, and they are tasked to figure out, okay, we are going to have maybe 10 to 15 of that 50 that maybe have that layer, so they are responding well. But now you have 35 who don't have that layer, because in many instances maybe their parents were not even given a guidance as to, well, how they can try to get that first layer in. And now that teacher and that school is going to make this very crucial decision of, well, we can't pass them on, they shouldn't, but if we keep them here, but we have new students coming in for those spaces, and the amount of work that's needed from me to put a layer, then on top of that, lift that student up to where you have your initial 10 to 15 so they can move on, is beyond my capacity, plus I know they get PA. So you have to really look at the failure of the state to be effective. They have not been effective. And so even while I think about, well, what parents are needed to do, I'm just saying, but where is the guidance coming for what parents are supposed to do? So me or you, we're going to read something, we want to try and learn what is required of us as a parent, but then you have parents who now just to try provide the physical things that a child needs, the food and the shelter. So much of for them bandwidth that in are doing that. So then what as we are here talking, what you need to have is special facilities created to deal with this reality, not pretending no exists. And essentially what they have been doing is to just say, well, go up to the next class, and then become the next teacher's responsibility to try to figure you out. And again, it has nothing to do with the capacity of the child. Nothing at all to do with the capacity of the child. We just have one breakdown in the laying of the first layer on which you can build upon the literacy. And I feel like that responsibility for guidance and for intervention, that with the state, that they begin.
I agree with you 100%, Mose. The majority, I know we got some blame, but the majority of the responsibility is on the state. And remember this, our community, and this is what amazing about this thing, right? St. Alfonso Roman Catholic Primary School, is that community members decided to, because the children graduate from St. Alfonso High School will not accept them, that then decided to take action. Now, it has taken at least 5 years for the effort of this community group, because again, once St. 6 students on graduate right here, and then literate again. So the learning measurement tool, what I use, I'm learning A through Z, and then check words per minute, accuracy and comprehension for 143 students. Now, they're way past the break time, but this is a conversation we need to have, or we need to continue to have. And I salute everybody where they work state by on this initiative, and then to put into action what it means that all the people are saving the people.
Again, I just want to point out and just quickly say that you have people with far more knowledgeable as to, and I'm sure you've learned from such people where have been in it, have proximity to it, and know all the breakdowns and know all the intricate dilemmas. I think sometimes where them people and then got expertise because I expertise exists, sister. That's my view. They have expertise, and they better than me could have come here and just lay it out. I don't even know how accurate I am with the vision I have, but this is at least from my vantage point and my experience. This is what I kind of this is where I see. But people were in it, were spend years in it. Got one level of expertise. The issue is that they have been reluctant for throw down the gauntlet. Nobody want say nothing unpleasant about church school management. Nobody want to rub the political directorate wrong. Nobody want offend our parent, and nobody want seem ungrateful to a teacher. But at the end of the day, we have to be conscious that the number one priority is that we can't be the reason why one child not realize the fullest potential as a human being. Until they find stardust, will become conscious somewhere else in our universe, the most unique and precious thing in this whole wide universe, this conscious being that we call our boys and girls. We're not more than that. The stars are beautiful and the galaxies are amazing, but a human being is that stardust becoming conscious, and the responsibility that for now lift that into one being where could completely involve, engage, understand things wrongly, learn, absorb, and fulfill their purpose. And if we feel that the greatest failure we could have as living things, that fulfill that which comes after us. That opinion, that's my view. And so if we have to have uncomfortable and we have to ruffle some feather and make some people, and we have to reel up and we have to cuss up, but we can't continue like this because it is not, it can be fixed. It has to be fixed. We have to be better. I agree with you. I don't know if I dare with you that now if we just bring fire to everything. And I agree with you that one of the problems with parents, and in our past instances when the teachers have had to have industrial action, we've spoken about this, that the problem with the parental authority organization is that the time that a child is in school is fixed. And so the time when a parent active, they come and go. How to make one parental organization get created where kind of comprehensive, not just one institution, but you have one parental organization where they advocate on behalf of students and to make it be viable and make it sustain. Because it can't just be what we call the PTA thing. that in theory that's supposed to be something where, but it really, some schools have done much better job than others, but for the most part it's really not been a very productive thing. But I do have to take a break, sister. Thanks for the call.
Respect,